In our town, when something bad happens, everyone hears about it before breakfast. It's that kind of place, quiet, southern, with too many churches and too few secrets. So when Maddie Green, age 12, disappeared, it was all over the radio before the morning coffee even finished brewing. Last seen leaving Franklin Middle School, brown backpack, blue hoodie, no witnesses, no calls, just gone. They searched everywhere, trails, rivers, bus stops. Amber Alert signs blinked on every highway. The news said she was probably a runaway. Some said her foster parents were doing their best. Others whispered, that girl always looked scared. But no one expected they'd find her in the garage of Frank Leland, age 71, Army veteran, Bronze Star recipient, and the most reclusive man in Mason County. Frank didn't talk much, lived alone on the edge of town near the woods. Didn't like visitors, didn't like cops, just liked his garden, his radio, and fixing up old lawnmowers in his dusty garage. He lost his wife 10 years ago. No kids. Some said he drank, others said he prayed. But mostly people left him alone, which is exactly how he liked it. Until one morning he heard a noise in the back of the garage. He figured it was a raccoon, but it wasn't. He found her behind the old tool shelf, curled up on a pile of blankets, her backpack as a pillow, eyes wide like a deer caught in high beams. Frank froze. She didn't move. He said, "You're the girl, ain't you? The one everyone's looking for." She just nodded once. Didn't speak, didn't beg, didn't cry. Frank wasn't a man of many instincts anymore, but he had one left. The same one that kept him alive in 71, somewhere near Quezon. The instinct that told him, don't shout, don't move, and don't scare the kid. So he knelt down, said, "You hungry?" She blinked, then nodded. He didn't call the cops, not right away. Instead, he made her eggs, put a blanket around her shoulders, asked nothing, said even less. She ate in silence, then crawled back to the garage corner and slept. That night, he sat on the porch with a cigarette in one hand and an old photo in the other. The photo was him in uniform and a kid, not his, a boy from a village, thin, barefoot, with the same look Maddie had in her eyes. Frank had tried to help that boy once, but war didn't let him. This time he could choose. Next morning, Maddie was still there, still quiet, still watching him like he might vanish. He gave her space, let her sweep the floor. She asked for a screwdriver, started helping with a broken lawnmower, didn't ask where her photo was on the news, didn't care. She just wanted to disappear. Somewhere no one yelled. On day 3, someone knocked. Frank tensed. It was the sheriff. "Morning, Frank. You heard about that missing girl?" Frank shrugged. "Radio's busted." The sheriff laughed. "Well, if you see anything, you give us a ring, all right?" Frank nodded, shut the door, then locked it. That night, Maddie finally spoke. She said, "They only cared when I left." Frank didn't answer. She added, "In the house, they'd smile at the social workers, but when the door closed, they stopped. They said I was too old, that I should be grateful." Frank said, "Grateful's a word people use when they don't want to do better." By day 5, he knew she couldn't stay. They'd find her, they'd knock harder, and they'd blame him, even if he hadn't done a thing wrong. But she clung to the garage like it was a castle. She swept, cooked, repaired a broken fan, and every time he turned on the radio, her face was still on it. So he made a choice. He drove to the sheriff's station, walked in, said, "That girl you're looking for, she's safe. But if you go at her loud, you'll scare her right out of herself." The sheriff stared. "You're saying she's with you?" Frank nodded. "She found me. I didn't grab her. I fed her, let her breathe. She needs help. The kind you all didn't give her before." They brought her in gently. She didn't scream. The town split in two. Some called him a hero, others a criminal. The headlines didn't help. "Veteran hides missing girl in garage." Why didn't he call police immediately? A child and a stranger. Too many questions. The sheriff defended him at first, said Frank had acted out of compassion, that the girl was safe, no harm done. But once the state got involved, that changed real fast. Child Protective Services came in with folders, lanyards, and cold coffee breath. They interviewed Frank like he was a suspect. Asked, "Did you ever touch her? Did you lock the door? Did you discourage her from returning home?" He said, "No, I gave her eggs and a screwdriver. That's it." Maddie was placed in temporary protective custody, which meant another house, another strange bed, another room with someone else's rules. She tried to run the first night, tried again the third. On the fourth, she stopped talking. Meanwhile, Frank's porch became a war zone. Reporters with cameras, angry parents yelling. Someone threw a bottle at his mailbox. One night he found a note on his truck. "Creep, leave town." But he didn't leave, didn't hide. He sat on the porch, smoking slow, watching the street like it was a jungle trail. And when people came too close, he just said, "You're 2 decades late to judge me now." Then Maddie's caseworker reached out, said she wanted to talk. Frank met her at a diner. She was young, nervous, tried to hide her recorder, but he noticed. Didn't care. He said, "You all want to protect her, I get that. But she wasn't safe before. That house, that so-called foster family, they had 5 kids, 1 adult, and locks on the kitchen cabinets. She told me, she showed me the bruises." The caseworker frowned. "There were no prior reports." Frank's voice lowered. "Because no one listens until someone disappears." He filed a report, Baisho, sworn affidavit, detailed what Maddie told him. The CPS office said they'd investigate thoroughly. But a week passed, then another. Nothing. So Frank made a move they didn't expect. He called the local news, but not to talk about Maddie, to talk about himself. He sat down with a microphone and said, "When I came home from Vietnam, they told me to shut up and be thankful. So I did. For years, I watched kids go hungry and vets sleep in tents. And I said nothing, but not this time. Not when a little girl finds more safety in my garage than in her own home. If that makes me the villain, so be it." The video went viral, millions of views. Veterans across the country flooded the comments. "He did what we all wish we could do. That man is a guardian. Not all heroes wear armor, some wear flannel." Then came the twist. A woman called the paper, said she was Maddie's former foster sibling, 2 years older, placed in the same house. She told everything: the yelling, the cold baths, the nights without food. She said, "I left. I never looked back. But I saw that girl's face on the news and knew." She wasn't lying. A formal investigation began. Frank was cleared of all suspicion. The state removed Maddie from her placement permanently. They asked her where she wanted to go. She said, "Back to the man with the garden. He doesn't ask questions. He just listens." The social worker hesitated. "He's not a foster parent." Maddie said, "Then make him one." Frank got the letter a week later. Eligibility hearing, temporary guardianship review. He sat at the kitchen table, looked at the form, then at the photo still on his wall. Him and the boy from the village in Vietnam. He whispered, "Maybe I get to do it right this time." The courtroom smelled like dust and floor polish. Maddie sat beside me, legs swinging, too short to touch the ground. She wore a blue dress someone donated, and that green army jacket Frank gave her. It swallowed her small frame, but she clung to it like armor. The judge looked tired, probably had seen 1,000 custody cases. But this one was different. This one had cameras in the hallway and veterans in full uniform outside. Frank sat with his back straight, like he was back in formation. Not in a suit, in his old flannel. Refused to pretend for anyone. The clerk read the file. Subject, Madison Green, ward of the state. Placement request by non-family adult, Frank Leland. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Leland, do you understand what guardianship entails?" Frank stood. "No, sir, I've never raised a child, but I know what safety feels like and what it doesn't." Then the CPS attorney spoke, cold, calculated. "Your Honor, Mr. Leland has no formal training, no parenting record, and no income beyond a military pension. While we acknowledge the girl's connection to him, it's our position that this arrangement is unsuitable and potentially destabilizing. I wanted to scream, but Maddie spoke first, quiet, strong. He's the only one who never looked at me like I was a problem. Everyone froze. The judge leaned forward. Would you like to say more, Madison? She nodded, swallowed. In my old house, they locked the fridge, said I was greedy. At school, they said I was moody. When I ran, people called me broken. But Frank, he called me kiddo. She looked at him. He made me eggs, let me fix things, didn't try to change me, just let me be safe. The room went silent. Then the judge leaned back, wrote something, then said, Mr. Leland, pending background, confirmation, and home inspection, I grant temporary guardianship for 90 days. Maddie gasped. So did Frank. He didn't move, just nodded. Once, like a salute. Outside, the crowd clapped. Reporters swarmed. Frank ignored them, held Maddie's hand. They walked down the courthouse steps together, like they'd done it 1,000 times. That night, he made her chili, burned it. She said it was perfect. They fell asleep watching old black and white movies. The town changed after that. People who once whispered, now waved. A local hardware store fixed up Frank's garage for free. Veterans volunteered to build her a bedroom. Someone dropped off a bike with a note. For Maddie, from someone who ran away once too. Cody, a boy from her class, wrote her a letter. Said, "You're the bravest person I know. Can we be friends?" She smiled for a whole hour after reading it. Frank started writing again. Letters, journals, even gave a talk at the school. Told kids about service, about listening, about the day he heard a sound in the back of a garage that saved him more than it saved her. At the end, he said, "You don't need a cape to be a hero. You just need to open the door when someone knocks or kicks." Maddie stayed for 90 days, then another 90, then forever. The court made it official the following spring. She took his last name, Leland, said it felt like home. Frank still doesn't say much, still wears flannel, still smokes on the porch at sunset. But now there's always a second chair. And if you drive past their house, you might see her fixing a lawnmower, or painting a birdhouse, or just laughing. And beside her, always, a man who thought his purpose ended long ago. Until one girl reminded him, it never did. Thank you for watching. If you want to get more of that kind of stories, press like and check out our channel.